I'm going to share with you how to get large returns using leverage ETFs that could make you the next leverage ETF millionaire, but does come with an equal amount of risk. And if you prefer less risk, I have an option for that too. Leverage ETFs are vilified by the media for being instruments of massive wealth destruction. So I can see how the media and others might think that these leverage ETFs are dangerous to one's portfolio. But all leverage and risk are not created equal. The most popular warning tossed around in the media is that by doubling or tripling the daily return of the index, you inevitably lose money to slippage and volatility drag. For example, if one day the index goes down 10% and goes up 10% the next day, you haven't made your money back. Instead, for every $100 you invested, you would lose $10 the first day and make $9 the second day. Now, if you leverage 3x the daily return, you would theoretically be down 30% on the first day and only up the second day. The media isn't entirely off base with their criticism of leverage products. There are a lot of rigged products in the leverage ETP space. Most anything tied to commodities or short an index is inherently rigged against you. So you either follow the script or know what you're doing if you want to trade these instruments. The only tradable leverage ETPs are the ones that track indexes with 2 or 3 times leverage. When you look at the long-term returns from leverage long equity ETFs like their 3x leverage S&P 500 UPRO or 3x leverage NASDAQ TQQQ, you see that their returns don't support the "you're going to lose all your money" hypothesis. Let's say you invested $10,000 in the TQQQ with the understanding that you'd cash out when you had enough for a $250,000 down payment for a house. You would have been able to do it in less than 8 years. In fact, you would have returned close to 10 times the return of the unleveraged NASDAQ. Every day the NASDAQ went up, the fund's leverage ratio would go down, and the fund could buy more triple Qs. UPRO works the same way, except with the S&P 500. By re-leveraging to 3x every day, UPRO and TQQQ exponentially vacuum up more and more assets over time. That's the unique mechanism of these leverage ETFs and how they can get outsized returns during uptrends that are beyond their daily 3x leverage factor. Here's an example of the exponential acceleration that leverage provided to S&P 500 investors since 1928. Now, this includes the Great Depression and is definitely helpful for backtests as the NASDAQ did not exist. Notice the growth of $1 invested in the S&P from October 1928 to October 2015. You would have gotten with just 3x the S&P versus no leverage at all. Now that's a great example of how huge of an impact leverage can have on your returns. But we need to be careful. You see, leverage increases return, but also introduce a lot of path dependence to your net worth. If the market goes up, you look like a genius. If the market goes down, well, everyone, including your pet, thinks you're an idiot. In an uptrending market, this leverage mechanism can make you rich and quite possibly a millionaire many times over. In a down market, leverage ETFs are forced to sell assets at low prices, which of course works against you. So we need to go over volatility drag. There's a paper called Alpha Generation and Risk Smoothing Using Managed Volatility. Now it's a mouthful, I know, but their paper uses a huge data set of historical market performances, which is extremely helpful for designing these kinds of strategies. As you can see from the graphs, there's a quadratic relationship between leverage and compounded annual returns. Now math is not required to understand what the picture is telling you. If you use a little leverage, you increase your returns. If you use too much leverage, your returns start to go down as the amount of risk you take overwhelms your return, forcing you to sell too much at low prices during drawdowns, or of course risk losing all your money. There are 2 factors at play here. Number 1, in a trending market, leverage allows you to pyramid your positions. Now, as your collateral increases in value each day, you use it to take out additional margin to buy more stock. Now, this exponentially increases your returns. Now, number 2, in a down or volatile market, leverage forces you to sell at lower prices, or you risk blowing up your account. Now, as you can see, volatility drag has a negative effect on leverage ETFs, but it's a misconception that leverage will mathematically cause your position to decay over time. In fact, it's just the opposite effect at reasonable levels of leverage. Another driver that affects returns is the LIBOR. That's the acronym for London Interbank Offered Rate. As most of these ETFs are using LIBOR Volataur for S&P 500 and NASDAQ swaps to reduce their transaction costs. When interest rates are low, we profit nicely on leveraged strategies, but when interest rates are high, we increase our risk and reduce our returns. And notice that if you keep increasing leverage beyond the point of maximum return, your compounded annual growth rate eventually goes sharply negative. For example, if you take 5 times leverage, that would have wiped you out during the infamous 1987 crash when the S&P 500 fell 20.4%. Now, after the 1987 crash, regulators implemented market-wide circuit breakers to briefly shut down the markets if the S&P 500 falls 20% at any point during a trading session. The stock exchange never opened on the morning of the 9/11 attack, but the circuit breaker would have been in effect as a backstop if needed. So the trick is to find what I call the bliss point, where you're not using too much or too little daily leverage. Now, this point usually falls between 2x and 3x the leverage in various time periods and equity markets. It's not an accident that the Fed sets the maximum margin allowed for retail traders at 2 times under Regulation T. Now, 3x works even better if you're willing to cut the positions in a downtrend and go to leverage once they start to go back up. As you can imagine, most retail traders are psychologically unable to do this. Understanding what the true risks are with leverage ETFs is important. UPRO and TQQQ are tools that can help you achieve your goals, but are also very capable of seeing 90 to 95% drawdowns. Another issue is that leverage ETFs don't create any alpha by themselves. If you buy and hold these instruments, you're taking more risk and getting a corresponding return. On any given day, the odds of the market going up or down are not 50-50. The market has roughly a 53% chance of rising. Daily market returns are also streaky. You're statistically more likely to have multi-day winning streaks during uptrends. However, volatility is relatively easy to forecast. Volatility today is correlated with volatility tomorrow. We can use some basic game theory to know when banks and hedge funds are likely to get in trouble based on volatility, then patiently wait in cash or US Treasuries until volatility has subsided. The first paper I previously mentioned used complicated volatility targeting measures to reduce risk. It works, but I think it's overkill for most people. Another great paper is called Leverage for the Long Run and uses the 200-day moving average to forecast volatility. The 200-day moving average method works very well. We already know that 3x leverage ETFs tend to do even better than 3x the market in low volatility markets and worse in high volatility markets. The trick to pocketing the extra return is to isolate the periods when volatility is most likely to occur. Here's a chart showing annualized volatility above and below the moving averages. Now, notice the curious split. Volatility is almost twice as high when stocks are below their 200-day moving average than when they're above it. This allows us to isolate the instances when we're most likely to experience significant market declines and the times when 3x leverage is most likely to underperform the index due to volatility drag. Now, by doing this, you also can identify environments when market crashes are more likely to occur. As you can see, over 2/3 of the worst trading days for the market occur when the S&P 500 is trading below its 200-day moving average. The 200-day moving average isn't just something recently cooked up either. The idea of only owning stocks above their 200-day moving average has been around a long time, so it's nothing new. Nobel Prize-winning professor Jeremy Siegel covered the strategy in his book Stocks for the Long Run, but ultimately concluded that the strategy returned less than buy and hold, albeit with less risk. The moving average strategy proposed in the Pension Partners paper is pretty simple. If the S&P 500 is above its 200-day moving average, you buy and hold UPRO. When the S&P 500 is below its 200-day moving average, you rotate to cash. This is what their strategy returned in the backtest, which includes the Great Depression and global financial crisis of 2007 to 2009. You can see for yourself that many of the return metrics improve dramatically when you isolate the periods of high probability of volatility using a simple 200-day moving average. Now, those drawdowns are so severe, though, that few humans could endure without having a heart attack. In all, their leverage ETF strategy on the S&P 500 has a positive alpha of 16% per year. That's huge. Here's how often the strategy would have traded between the year 2000 and 2020. You would have avoided almost the entirety of the bear markets between 2000 and 2002 and 2007 to 2009. while catching the upside with 3x leverage. Academic research shows that momentum strategies tend to outperform the market at large. Adding leverage ETFs to the momentum factor is like pouring gasoline on the fire to the returns of the 200-day moving average strategy. I believe that the simplest improvement to the trend following strategy is to use the NASDAQ rather than the S&P 500, as seen by the performance over time. Now, the NASDAQ has a stronger exposure to the momentum factor, which can be a difference in the long run. Additionally, instead of going to cash when the index is below the 200-day average, I like the idea of rotating into long-term treasury bonds like the TLT to take advantage of periods of risk aversion. Now, we know that markets tend to see most of their worst days when stocks are below their 200-day average, and the treasuries tend to catch a bid as investors flee risky assets in downturns. Now, I wouldn't recommend leverage ETF strategies to anyone who can't afford to lose 90% or more of the capital they have invested in the strategy. To be clear, the 90% or more losses I'm speaking of only applies to the strategies we're discussing in the papers. A buy and hold TQQQ or UPRO strategy has the potential to lose a significant amount of money if the trend is not your friend. Trend following with leverage sounds good on paper and has been shown to work, but doing it in real time with real money for most people is beyond their risk tolerance. There's nothing worse than diligently investing for years, building up a large portfolio, and being well on your way to retiring rich, only to see your portfolio dropping 90% in value with the next 30% drop in the stock market. It's not if that will happen, but when it will happen. Nobody with a pulse can stomach that kind of drawdown, including me. If you're a like-minded person and prefer a smarter way to use leverage, using proven low-risk trading strategies that alert exactly when to buy, what to buy, and when to sell, then you'll want to click the link in the description.